Hi, I'm Miranda,
And I'm April,
and this is a True Crime Co.
a podcast about everything macabre and mysterious.
Maura Murray was born May 4th, 1982 in Hanson, Massachusetts, the fourth child of Fred, and Laura Murray. Murray was raised in an Irish Catholic household. When she was 6, her parents divorced, and Maura primarily lived with her mother after that.
Okay.
Maura graduated from Whitman Hanson Regional High School, where she was a star athlete on the school track team, and she was accepted into the United States Military Academy in West Point, New York. She studied to be a chemical engineer for 3 semesters, but then decided that wasn't really for her, so she transferred to University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing. What?
Man, that's quite the switch, going from chemical engineering to nursing.
So I actually watched this thing on YouTube where her older sister Julie was in the military and had gone to West Point, and they were like really close and tight knit, and Julie was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it." So Maura tried it out, and then apparently she didn't like the structure of it all, so she switched.
Yeah, some people just do not like the structure of military at all.
In November 2003, 3 months before her disappearance, Maura admitted to using a stolen credit card to order food from several restaurants.
Maura! What's her name?
Maura.
I keep wanting to do like...
I know it's hard for you. So the charges were continued until December, and then if she was good for that 3-month period, it would be if she was good for 3 months, then it would be dismissed as like not on her record.
She sounds like super smart, but she decided to steal a credit card to buy food.
I mean,
and got caught.
She was young. People make bad decisions.
No, she was just stupid. Just don't put young in there. She was just stupid.
Well, she's missing for going on like 3 decades now. So.
Okay, well, no, we're not talking about that yet. Okay.
Just saying, maybe don't call her stupid.
Like, I was young and stupid once, but I never stole a credit card and bought stuff.
Maybe
I had a job. I paid for it myself.
Maybe you weren't smart enough to steal something.
Oh.
She had a job, too.
Hold on a second. That was mean. That hurt a little after I actually heard it.
Took a minute to process it, didn't it?
It did. That's mean.
Anyways, just gonna gloss over your hurt feelings.
I see.
On the evening of February 5th, 2004, while she was on duty for her campus security job, she spoke on the phone with her older sister, Kathleen, and they had discussed some relationship problems that Kathleen was having with her fiance.
Wait a second. So she goes to West Point, or a military type academy. She wasn't at West Point itself.
It was.
Okay, so she went to West Point military, kind of like law-abiding things, and she's a security guard, but she still steals a credit card.
She doesn't go to West Point at this point. She's at the University of Massachusetts Amherst.
But she has a security job.
She's young. We make bad decisions when we're young.
No, I had a security job too when I was young, like 23. That's young, right? And I still did not. So this is bothering me.
Well, you need to get over it, so we can move on with the story.
My Lord, you are so insensitive today.
It's such a minute piece of information that you're just latched onto. So she made a bad judgment call and ordered some food with somebody else's money. Okay, move on.
Can't.
It's a bad judgment call.
Can't.
So on the evening of February 5th, 2004, she talks to her sister, Kathleen, who's having relationship problems with her fiance. It's later found out that the conversation really consisted of Kathleen was struggling with an alcohol problem, and she had just gotten out of rehab that night, and her fiance took her to a liquor store. So that's what the conversation consisted.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
What kind of fiance? No, that's enabling right there.
Not a good fiance. That's not innate. I mean, that's just bad. That's just crappy.
That's like going through rehab for a crack addiction, and then you get out immediately, and your spouse or significant other takes you to your dealer. It's like, oh, here, she's out. Get some more.
Yeah, not very supportive at all, is it?
No, not at all.
So around 10:30 p.m. on February 5th, while she was still on her shift, Maura reportedly broke out in tears. And when the supervisor arrived at the desk, she was zoned out with no reaction at all and was kind of unresponsive. The supervisor escorted her back to her dorm room at 1:20 a.m. And when he asked her what was wrong with her, she just said, "My sister." So that's weird.
So she went comatose about her sister?
I mean, maybe it wasn't just about that. Maybe that was the straw that broke the back.
Maybe.
So 2 days later, on February 7th, her father, Fred, arrived in Amherst. He said that they went car shopping that afternoon and went to dinner with a friend of his daughter's. She then dropped him off at his motel room and borrowed his Toyota Corolla to return to campus and attend a dorm party. At 3:30 a.m., after leaving the dorm party en route to her father's motel, she struck a guardrail on Route 9 in Hadley, causing nearly $10,000 worth of damage to her father's car. The responding officer...
Wait, she wrecked her dad's car?
Yes. She went to a party on campus, and then on the way back to the hotel at 3:30 a.m., she wrecked his car into a guardrail.
Was she drinking?
Well, the responding officer wrote an accident report, but there was no documentation of a field sobriety test being conducted.
What year was that?
2004.
Yeah, that should have been done. That was after the whole click it. No, not click it or ticket.
I mean,
Mom's
maybe
drunk driving thing.
Maybe he didn't suspect that she was intoxicated. It's February in Massachusetts. Maybe driving conditions were rough and she just wrecked.
Maybe.
The police officers took her to her father's hotel and she stayed the night in his room. At about 4:49 a.m., there was a cell phone call placed to her boyfriend from Fred's phone, but they don't really know what happened on that phone call. I don't know why, but they don't.
They should subpoena the government, since the government tracks everybody's phone calls. Government.
I don't think the NSA was doing that yet.
No, it was after 2001.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They were tapping everybody. Didn't matter. They're like, nope. We're not doing that today, sir.
Later, Sunday morning, Fred learned that the damages to his vehicle would be covered by the auto insurance. And at that point, he rented a car, took Maura back to the university, and then left for Connecticut.
Way to go, insurance.
So stupid. I think he worked out of town, and that's why he went to Connecticut, because he didn't live in Connecticut.
Oh.
At 1:30 that same night, so Saturday was the 7th, so this is the 8th. On February 8th at 11:30, Fred called Maura to remind her to get the accident forms from the Registry of Motor Vehicles, and they agreed to talk more over the phone on Monday. After midnight on Monday, February 9th, Maura used her personal computer to search MapQuest for directions to Berkshire and Burlington in Vermont. They're cities. I'm sorry, they're cities.
Oh, yeah, I got that.
So she looked up directions to Berkshire, Vermont and Burlington, Vermont. The first reported contact Maura had with anyone on February 9th was at 1 p.m. when she emailed her boyfriend, "I love you more, stud. I got your messages, but honestly, I didn't feel like talking too much of anyone. I promise to call today, though. Love, Maura." She also made a phone call inquiring about renting a condominium at the same Bartlett, New Hampshire condo association with which her family had vacationed in the past.
Is that weird? I mean, I'm feeling like that's weird.
I mean, to just call and inquire about renting a condo. I mean, maybe not. She was 21. She could have been trying to rent it for later out with like for spring break with friends. Spring break would be coming up soon.
I suppose.
So the telephone records indicated that the call lasted 3 minutes and the owner did not rent the condo to Maura.
I would think not after 3 minutes.
At 1:13 p.m., Maura called a fellow nursing student, but they also have no idea what that phone call was about or why.
Did they not just ask the student?
I don't know if she actually made if the phone call actually happened because there's no reported minutes. So I don't know if she called the student and then just didn't get through. On the afternoon of Monday, February 9th I don't know why I said it like that, at 1:24 p.m., Maura emailed a work supervisor and stated that she would be out of town for a week due to a death in the family. But according to her family, there was no death.
That's okay. I've heard of so many people using death in the family as a way to get out of work.
Oh, yeah, because nobody's going to ask you follow-up questions on that.
Nope, sure don't.
They're like, sorry, click.
Unless you work at my company and then they ask you who, what, when, where, why.
What was the cause? The birth certificate number? There's no such thing.
Yeah, the birth certificate number is the social security, right?
No, they're different.
I know.
Thanks for trying. So at 2:05 p.m., Maura called a number which provides recorded information about booking hotels in Stowe, Vermont, and that lasted approximately 5 minutes. I don't know how you talk to a recording for longer than you talk to an actual person, but okay.
Press 1 for rental. Press 2 for billing. Trust me, you can.
At 2:18 p.m., she telephoned her boyfriend and left a voice message promising him they would talk later. The call ended after 1 minute. And then in her car, Maura packed clothing, toiletries, college textbooks, and birth control pills.
Whoa, wait, why is it significant that she packed birth control pills?
I think it's all significant because of the theory that police eventually start to put out. So we will get to that. So just remember that she packed textbooks for school, birth control, clothes, and toiletry items. When her room was later searched, campus police discovered most of her belongings packed in boxes and the art removed from the walls. On top of the boxes was a printed email to Maura's boyfriend indicating trouble in their relationship. But the email, I don't know what the email says because I didn't find it.
That's a little contradictory, isn't it?
Yeah, to the other email about how she loves him and they'll talk later.
Hey, stud.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, when I'm mad at my husband, I definitely don't say, well, I never call him stud anyways. But
you know what? You should try it. Maybe he'd really enjoy that.
No.
He'd be like, God, I can just see his face now. He's like, ooh, what? Huh?
Saying, hey, stud is not really meshing well with the idea that they were having relationship problems.
Unless it's, hey, stud, I love you, but it's not working out. I'm going to go on a little bit of a travel.
So at 3:30 p.m., she drove off campus in her black 1996 Saturn sedan. I assume that when they went car shopping the day before, with her dad a couple days before this, that they had bought this black car, because why else would they go car shopping? But then I don't really understand why she borrowed his Corolla. So I don't know where this black car came from, but it's hers.
And it was in the shop. It was a 96 Saturn. Dim trash.
It's also important to note that classes at the university had been canceled that day, Monday, February 9th, because of a snowstorm. And we're in the north, right? This story is in the north.
Oh, yeah. Massachusetts, definitely up north.
I tried to get Chris to move to Massachusetts once.
Why?
I don't know. I would like to have snow.
You don't have to move somewhere to get snow. You can just go on vacation there during the snowy season.
No, I want to live in the snowy season.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. I like to change things around sometimes.
How far away from your family are you trying to get, dude?
Massachusetts is not that far.
You can't drive it in a day.
Yes, you can. It's only 10 extra hours from where I live now.
That's 14 hours.
I drove to Arkansas from your house in a day.
That's not my problem.
And I made record time, too.
Yeah, because you speed.
Just because you couldn't do it in a day doesn't mean it can't be done in a day.
I haven't tried. And I don't like to ride in a damn car for 14 hours. Excuse you.
Anyways, we're way off base right now. So at 3:40 p.m., February 9th, she went to an ATM and withdrew $280. And the footage from the ATM shows that she was by herself. After withdrawing the $280, she went to a nearby liquor store and purchased $40 worth of alcoholic beverages, including $40 isn't hard, but she got Bailey's, Irish cream, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of Franzia wine. Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Security footage again showed that she was alone when she made that purchase.
Where does her sister live?
I don't know. Not Vermont, I don't think. I don't know. I had that same thought, though. I had that same thought.
Or where does the boyfriend, the fiance? Yeah, where does the sister live? Including the fiance.
I don't know. So at some point during this day, she also made time to pick up the accident reports from the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles. She left Amherst between 4 and 5 p.m., presumably on Interstate 91 North. She called to check her voicemail at 4:37 p.m., and that's the last recorded use of her cell phone, period, ever. To this day, there's no indication she had informed anyone of her destination or any evidence that she had chosen one. So they're saying that she didn't tell anybody where she was going, and they don't even know if she actually had picked a place to go.
Did they ever? Okay, never mind. You're going to get there.
I am. Sometime after 7 p.m., a Woodsville, New Hampshire resident heard a loud thud outside her house. Through her window, she could see a car up against the snowbank along Route 112. The car pointed west on the eastbound side of the road.
Oh, so she flipped around.
At 7:27 p.m., the local woman reported the car accident on the sharp corner of Route 112 adjacent to her home. According to the 911 log, the woman claimed to have seen a man smoking a cigarette inside the car. However, later she stated that she had not seen a man or a person smoking a cigarette, but rather had seen what appeared to be the red glowing light from inside the car, potentially from a cell phone. A passing motorist, who was a school bus driver that lived nearby, stopped at the scene. He saw the car as well as the young woman walking around the vehicle. The school bus driver noticed the young woman was not bleeding or visibly injured, but was cold and shivering. He offered a call for help, and she asked him not to call the police and assured him that she'd already called AAA. Two things here. There is no record of AAA ever getting a call from her, but also the bus driver had to go to his house to call police because there was no cell phone service.
Because there was a snowstorm.
So he said, in an interview, he said there's no cell phone service on that road normally because it's a remote part of New Hampshire.
So it's a dead zone. Ooh.
It was suspicious to him that she claims to have made that call to AAA when there was no possible way that she could have. He also told police that he didn't think she was intoxicated. He said she did not seem intoxicated or under the influence of anything. Just shaken up from being in a car accident.
You said that was on, where was that she crashed?
On Route 112. And if you look at a picture of that area, there is a really sharp curve. And she didn't hit a snowbank, she hit a tree.
Route 112 where?
In Woodsville, New Hampshire.
You type that in, it comes up as disappearance of Maura Murray.
Yeah. It's a pretty popular case. Another local resident driving home claims she passed the scene at, okay, so the 911 call was made at 7:27, okay? And the school bus driver actually made it back to his to his home and called police at 7:43 p.m. So 7:27 the initial call comes in. 7:43 p.m., still no police response. The bus driver makes his own phone call, and he notices several cars pass by on the road before police arrived, and he couldn't really see her car from his house. Another local resident driving home from work claimed she passed the scene around 7:37 p.m. and saw a police SUV parked face-to-face with Maura's car. She pulled over briefly and did not see anyone inside or outside either car and decided to continue home. The witness statement contradicts the official police log, which has Haverhill police arriving 9 minutes later. According to the official police log, at 7:46 p.m., a Haverhill police officer arrived at scene, but the woman driver had disappeared and no one was inside or around the car. The car had impacted the tree on the driver's side of the vehicle, severely damaging the headlight, pushing the car's radiator into the fan, rendering it inoperable. The car windshield was cracked on the driver's side, and both airbags had been deployed. The car was locked.
I mean, why would you need to lock it, really?
I mean,
nobody's getting that car out. I mean, it's a 96. You said it was a 96 Saturn.
Yes.
And not a VU Saturn, but like a car Saturn.
Yeah.
Those things are really low to the ground. You're not going anywhere in that thing.
It was a Saturn sedan.
Mm-mm.
So I just think it's interesting that at 7:27, the initial call is made. Then the bus driver comes in between 7:27 and 7:37. So in that first 10-minute frame, he gets back to his house and makes a call at 7:43. Actually, you don't even know when the bus driver comes by. You just know that he's there after the initial call is made, but he doesn't actually call the police until 7:43. And then another woman drives by at 7:37 and sees a police SUV parked next to Maura's car, but she doesn't see anybody anywhere near the scene. And it could be that she just confused. Her time wasn't 7:37, maybe it was 7:47, but still, where was the police officer? Inside and outside the car, Inside the car, he discovered red stains that looked like red wine, an empty beer bottle, and a damaged box of wine, the one that she bought at the liquor store.
So she bought boxed wine at the liquor store?
Yes.
Awesome.
In addition, he found a AAA card issued to Maura, blank accident report forms, gloves, compact discs, makeup, diamond jewelry, driving directions to Burlington, Vermont, Maura's favorite stuffed animal, and Not Without Peril, a book about mountain climbing in the White Mountains. They also find a white rag that they believe was from her roadside kit in her muffler.
In her muffler?
Mm-hmm. Her debit card, credit cards, and cell phone were missing, as well as a couple of bottles of liquor and a black backpack that she had. Police traced the vehicle to Maura and initially treated her as a missing person on the belief that she had wanted to voluntarily disappear. I don't really feel like you have to crash your car on a snowstorm to voluntarily disappear, but whatever. The speculation was based on her travel preparations, about which she had not confided to friends and family, and there was no evidence of foul play. No obvious evidence of foul play.
Okay.
So between 8 and 8:30 p.m., a contractor returning home from Franconia, I don't know how to say that, saw a young person moving quickly on foot eastbound on Route 112, about 4 to 5 miles east from Maura. You got me doing it. About 4 to 5 miles east from where Maura had wrecked. He noted that the young person was wearing jeans, a dark coat, a light-colored hood. He didn't report it to the police immediately due to his own confusion of the dates. He didn't actually realize that it was the same date until like 3 months later when he was going over his work records or whatever.
That'd be me, bro. I'd be like, what? I don't remember what date that is.
At 12:36 p.m. the following day, February 10th, a be on the lookout report for Maura was issued. She was reported as wearing a dark coat, jeans, and having a black backpack. So that matches the description of the young person that the construction worker saw. A voicemail was left on Fred Murray's home answering machine at 3:20 p.m. February 10th, stating that her car had been found abandoned, not wrecked. He was working out of state and did not receive this phone call. At 5 p.m., Maura's older sister, Julie, maybe it was Kathleen, actually, one of her two older sisters contacted her father to tell him about the situation. He then contacted the Haverhill Police Department and was told that if Maura was not reported safe by the following morning, the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department would start a search. At 5:17 p.m., Maura was first referred to as missing by the Haverhill Police. So it wasn't until 5 p.m. the next day that they classified her as missing. And also, I was going to say something.
So,
when I watched that documentary where her sister Julie was talking and they were interviewing people that were involved, Julie said the police had told them that Maura is an adult, so it's not a crime for her to disappear. So there was no reason for an investigation. But I just wanted everyone to know that wrecking your car and then leaving the scene is actually a charge. Like, you can get charged for that.
Because it's leaving the scene of an accident.
Yeah, fleeing the scene of an accident. That is illegal. So I don't know why this wasn't treated more seriously, first off. So on February 11th, Maura's father arrived at Haverhill. It says he arrived before dawn. And at 8 a.m., New Hampshire Fish and Game, the Murrays, and others began a search. A police dog got her scent off one of her gloves 100 yards east from the vehicle, but lost the scent. And that did suggest to police that she had left the scene at some point. And then, of course, Maura's boyfriend checked his voicemails from her, and he said that he did end up getting a voicemail that sounded like her sobbing, and they actually traced that call back to a calling card issued by Red Cross. I don't think that ever went anywhere, though, because they never mentioned it again. On February 12th, Maura's father and her boyfriend held an evening press conference in Bethlehem, New Hampshire. The next day, the first press coverage was published. At 3:05 p.m., I'm guessing on February 13th, it doesn't say specifically, the police reported Maura might be headed to the Kancamagus Highway area, and she was listed as endangered and possibly suicidal. The police report also stated that she was intoxicated at the crash site, although the bus driver had said that she didn't appear intoxicated, like I said before. And the Haverhill police chief said that our concern is that she's upset and suicidal. So this is why I said it's important to note that she took the things that she took with her are not indicative of someone who is saying goodbye to this life. But it is also important to note that sometimes suicidal ideations are a split-second decision.
Now, just looking at a topographical map of the area in which she went missing, was there any type of dredging to the very local water systems, like the lake and the river?
I didn't see anything about dredging the water. I didn't think there was. I'm looking at a map where she went missing too, and I don't see any water nearby.
Are you kidding? It's hold on. It's Mountain Lake is to the left of where she was spotted the second time.
Where?
So she's on Swiftwater Road, and so the accident site is near Bradley Hill Road. On this here, so she have the point C, and then she was going northeast, it looks like, and then the person who drove by her was at, really, I can't zoom into that one, but there is a large lake a bit to the left of her crash site. It's a nice big walking distance for sure. But there's a swift waterway station. There is a river to the right. I can't say that name.
A river, but the only body of water I see is not walking distance from where her dot is on this map.
Well, it depends on how determined she is.
That's way more than 4 miles.
Let's see.
Okay. It doesn't matter because there's no indication that any bodies of water was ever looked into, and they don't talk about any of them, period.
This is a very wet area, it looks like. I mean, you got rivers. Of course, it just snowed.
You have ditches. You have ditches and a river.
There is a pond, even a lake, maybe.
Anyway.
There is a water station.
Can I please tell you what they did search and find?
Fine.
Jesus Christ. Where was I? A week after Maura's disappearance, her father and boyfriend were interviewed by CNN's American Morning, and they expanded their search into Vermont. They were really upset that the authorities in Vermont hadn't even been informed of Maura's disappearance.
That's a little weird.
And although missing persons cases are normally handled by local and state police, the FBI did join the investigation 10 days after her disappearance. And they interviewed family from Massachusetts, and the Haverhill police chief announced that the search was now nationwide. 10 days after her disappearance, New Hampshire Fish and Game conducted a second ground and air search using a helicopter with a thermal imaging camera, tracking dogs, and cadaver dogs. Maura's older sister discovered a ripped white pair of women's underwear lying in the snow in a secluded trail near French Pond Road. On February 26, DNA confirmed that the underwear did not belong to Maura. At the end of February, the police returned the items found in Maura's car to her family, and on March 2nd, the family checked out of their motel, exhausted from the search. Fred returned nearly every weekend to continue his search. In April, the Haverhill police informed him of complaints of trespassing on private property. So this man's out here looking for his daughter, and people are like, "Oh, he's on my property. Oh, shut up." What a douche.
Mm-hmm.
In March of 2004, another girl named Brianna Maitland in Montgomery, Vermont, 66 miles away, disappeared. 66 miles away from where Maura was last seen in Woodsville, disappeared. And the media started to draw comparisons between the two cases. But state police was like, look, there's absolutely no link. These two cases are not connected. In April and June, New Hampshire and Vermont police dismissed any connections between Maura and Brianna. They also dismissed the possibility of a serial killer being involved. So on July 1st, police retrieved the items from Maura's vehicle that they had initially returned to the family. They took them back for forensic analysis.
It's a little late.
Yeah.
I mean, the family probably went through the bag.
This is what gets me. On July 13th, a 1-mile radius search was performed by nearly 100 searchers, including state troopers, rescue personnel, and volunteers. It was the 4th search around the crash area and the first search performed without snow on the ground. They were trying really to find the black backpack that was missing. What bothers me is that you have an eyewitness who describes a young person that matches the description of Maura 4 miles away from the crash site, but your search is only a mile. That is insane to me. The search found nothing.
Obviously.
In late 2004, a man allegedly gave Fred a rusty stained knife that had belonged to his brother, to the man's brother. And he said that he believed that his brother had used this knife to kill Maura and that she was buried in his basement. That was one of the running rumors of the area. He stated that his brother and his brother's girlfriend had acted weird after Maura's disappearance, and they had lived less than a mile away from where Maura was last seen, well, where her car was found, and the brother had recently scrapped his Volvo. So,
Was it not in good working order, Volvo?
I don't know. That doesn't say. That's all it says.
That's stretching it, bro.
And family members of the man who turned in the knife claimed that he had a history of drug use and that he was just looking for reward money. But I want you to remember this guy, because it's just remember this guy.
Okay.
In 2005, Fred appeared on the Montel Williams show.
He went on Montel?
No, I'm sorry. He went on to Montel in November of 2004.
But he went on Montel.
Yes.
Oh, man, he making it big. He went on Montel.
On February 9th, 2005, the first anniversary of Maura's disappearance, a service was held where the car was found, and her father met briefly with the New Hampshire governor, John Lynch. In 2005 also, late 2005, so later on, Fred filed suit against several law enforcement agencies because he wanted to see the case files. And in the documentary I watched, they talked about this a little bit. They're like, the police aren't really using this information, so why not give it to us so that we can use this information and try and find her?
Yeah.
They were ultimately, that was denied. Because
it makes him look bad. That's why.
Yeah, they cited it as an active investigation and said that handing over these files could be detrimental to their investigation.
Yeah, that they're not doing.
Apparently. I can't imagine how crushing that must have been for the family.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad. On November 1st, 2005, a user named Tom Davies logged into a message board called Not Without Peril, which is dedicated to discussion of Maura's disappearance, and claimed to have seen a black backpack behind a restroom at Pemeagwasset Overlook, and that's about 30 minutes away from Woodsville on Route 112, 30 miles away. That's the backpack that they were looking for at the scene. Law enforcement.
There's only one black backpack that it could ever be in that area.
They didn't seem to take this very.
I mean,
they were aware of the backpack, but they never disclosed if it had been taken in for testing or even retrieved by the police.
Okay, now they should at least checked it.
So, this next bit of information is from 2006 to 2010. The New Hampshire League of Investigators, which is 10 retired police officers and detectives, and the Molly Bish Foundation, started working on the case in 2006. A former police chief and a member of the Licensed Private Detective Association of Massachusetts, named Tom Shamshak, said that it appears this is something beyond a mere missing persons case. Something ominous could have happened here. And the Arkansas group Let's Bring Them Home offered $75,000 reward in 2007 for information that could solve her disappearance. So, I don't really know what the reward was before 2007, but I wonder if it was even worth coming up with a fake lie for drug money.
Okay, look, like drug money is drug money, okay?
Well,
$20 is drug money.
$20 is not enough for some drugs.
Well, maybe he was into the cheap drugs. I don't know.
In October of 2006, volunteers led a 2-day search within a few miles of where Maura's car was found. In the closet of an A-frame house, approximately 1 mile from the crash site. Cadaver dogs went bonkers, possibly identifying the presence of human remains. The house had formerly been the residence of the man implicated by his brother and the owner of the rusty knife in 2004.
Okay.
A sample of the carpet from the home was sent to the New Hampshire State Police, but the results were never released to the public. And the current owners of that house did not allow for extended searches in the property.
Why not?
Vicious, right?
Why not? Do you want to live in a house with a possible cadaver underneath it? Come on.
In July of 2008, volunteers led a 2-day search through wooded areas in Haverhill, and the group consisted of dog teams and licensed private investigators. That's what I might do with my life. I might be a licensed private investigator. That'd be fun. Anyway.
No, see, no. You know what? You start that and you tell me how it's like. Okay, wait, what was that guy's name? I'm going to look up his house.
It didn't say a name.
No, the brother's name.
It didn't say a name.
No, the guy who went on Montel.
Fred Murray. That's Maura's dad.
No. Okay, so the guy who had the rusty knife who was trying to get drug money, what's his name?
There is no name for him.
What the frick? What the frick? So there's an A-frame within a mile of the accident site, yes.
It says, in late 2004, a man allegedly gave Fred a rusty stained knife that belonged to the man's brother. That's all it says. So,
but it was an A-frame house within a mile.
Yes. Maura's case was one of many cited by proponents of a statewide cold case unit for New Hampshire in 2009. Her case was subsequently added to the newly established cold case unit later that year. In 2010, Fred Murray publicly criticized the police investigation for treating the disappearance as a missing persons case and not a criminal matter. He called for the FBI to take over the investigation. In February of 2009, the investigation was still active, and they made the statement that they didn't know if Maura was a victim or what was going on, but they were treating the case as a criminal investigation and potential homicide. In 2014, on the 10th anniversary of Maura's disappearance, it was stated that there hasn't been any credible sightings of Maura since the night of her disappearance. And in a New York Daily News article on the 10th anniversary of his daughter's disappearance, Fred Murray stated that he believed that his daughter was dead.
Honestly, I think she is too.
On February 9th, 2019, Fred reiterated his belief that Maura was dead. And in April of 2019, after the change of ownership in the suspicious house, police were able to search and excavate the basement of the home. Nothing was found except for a broken piece of pottery or piping.
Well, that's really sus.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
In early 2001, the tree at the site where Maura was last seen, which had been marked with a blue ribbon as a memorial, was cut down by the property owner. The Murrays asked for a New Hampshire historical marker to be placed on the site, and they submitted that request in late 2020, but were turned down by the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. On September 14th of 2021, New Hampshire State Police announced that bone fragments had been found on Loon Mountain in Lincoln, New Hampshire, which is approximately 25 miles east of the site of Maura's crash. Maura had been to the mountain before and had knowledge of the area, according to her sister. The bone fragments were described as pretty small, and it was expected to take at least 2 months to determine if they were the remains of Maura or not. In November of 2021, it was announced that the remains were not Maura's.
Mm-hmm.
In January of 2022, FBI issued a national alert in Maura's case and created a violent criminal apprehension profile, allowing multiple law enforcement agencies to share information regarding her case. In July of 2022, law enforcement in New Hampshire initiated a search in the towns of Landoff and Easton. And I really hate how there's no information as to what the carpet came back as. Like, was it blood? What was it? Why did the dogs go crazy on that closet?
I guess we'll never know.
And Maura's disappearance has been cited as the first crime mystery of the social media age. And Bill Jensen of Boston Magazine in 2014 stated that, at least online, it often seems as there's no such thing as a cold case. And when Maura Murray disappeared, the social web was in its infancy. There was no YouTube and no Twitter. On the day Maura went missing, Facebook was 5 days old. And so you can read the history of her case as a parable about the evolution of online sleuthing. In 2005, active discussions of Maura's disappearance was documented on websleuth.com. And in 2007, Facebook and MySpace pages were created and dedicated to help find her. That's it.
That's sad.
Her case has received media attention on CNN American Morning, The Montel Williams Show, 2020, Nancy Grace's Cold Case Files, ABC News, Disappeared, The Dr. Oz Show, NPR's Story Corps.
Dr. Oz?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was like a health dude.
Maybe he talked about it. I don't know. News station, and as well as in Boston Globe, People Magazine, Newsweek, 17 Magazine, The New Yorker, Rolling Stones, and dozens of local and regional newspapers, magazines, radio, and television programs.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Well, I mean, at least it was talked about, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it was talked about a lot. And it seems pretty obvious that there is an answer to this question, but nobody has just proven it.
Nobody knows what it is.
Like, seems pretty suspicious to me.
It's sad. That's all I got for you.
It is really sad. And maybe one day there will be an answer.
I do agree, though. I do think she is not with us anymore. I have to agree with that. Sadly.
I just think the whole story about the man with the rusty knife is suspicious.
It is just sus. I definitely agree with that, too. Oh, like, I'm agreeing with you today. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. I'm playing with Google Earth so I can find the spot where the crash was so I can snoop.
Well, you could do that after, because this is where we're supposed to be talking about it, and you're not engaged. And this is going to be another Israel Keys episode.
I said it's sad. It seems there's a lot of moving components, but I mean, seriously, if you look at it, she did a lot of out of the norm things, like with her sister immediately relapsing. I don't know if she relapsed or not. She just said that her fiance took her to a liquor store. And her reaction was very strong. I mean, she went basically comatose at work because of the situation. And then she does all this crazy stuff, like her room is packed
probably
up.
not because of her sister. You know, nursing school is really hard, and a lot of people fell out of it.
Well, I mean, it could be as you said, the straw that broke the back.
She could have already been super stressed out, and she might not have been planning on quitting school. Maybe she was planning on continuing to go to school, but living off campus. Mm-hmm. She took her school stuff with her maybe she really just needed a week off, and she was going to decompress in Vermont. And then she had this terrible accident because it's a snowstorm, and you can grow up driving in snow all day long and still wreck in snow, because you never can actually know how to drive in inclement weather. And then
drive slowly.
She got some foul play. I don't know. Or she froze. But then they would have found her remains.
Maybe, unless it was near. I know you're like, there's not a lot of water, but there really is. So unless she was near, but she was moving. So she was walking, and she wasn't. It was during the day, right?
It was not. It was after 7:30 in February.
You said a bus driver came by?
Mm-hmm. A school bus driver.
At 7:30?
Yeah. He was coming home. He was on his way home.
aren't school bus drivers home a lot earlier than that?
Not necessarily. If it's a rural area, then they have more kids per bus route. And some schools have to break up where they do this bus route leaves at this time, and then I come back for a second bus route at this time.
I'm just thinking, God, don't tear me down.
Up here, schools, some of the schools where I live don't get out until 4:45, and bus routes usually take 2 to 3 hours. Especially if there is some kind of mysterious happenstance. Like maybe they have to go back to school because the kids are bad.
But there was a snowstorm.
Yeah, in Massachusetts, they don't close school for snow.
Vermont.
Actually, she was in New Hampshire when she wrecked. I don't know why you were picking on the bus driver. Somebody saw her after he left her.
I was just asking. Good Lord, you're grumpy.
I'm not grumpy.
I'm just saying, I'm recouping and seeing if I got everything straight. That is what I'm doing. But her thing was on Route 112 in Vermont, is where the last crash occurred.
No, New Hampshire.
Did I put New Hampshire or Vermont in there? I was in the right place. It doesn't matter.
She wrecked in New Hampshire. She was going to Vermont from Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. It's just unknown. I mean, there's just nothing clear on this. There was just a lot of moving parts in it. I mean, the one fact that everybody knows, 2 facts that they know, is that she had an accident and that she's missing.
Yeah.
That's the 2 facts that are known. It's all the unknown quantities that are screwing everything up.
That's all I have. And I already said my theory, so.
Well, I mean, there could be a lot. I mean, she could have broken with the stress of her school, life, family, the second car crash.
Well, if you commit suicide, your body gets found, so.
Depends on where you do it, I guess.
If you commit suicide, your body's found. And what means of suicide did she have?
Water.
It is so difficult to drown yourself to death.
Not if it's freezing cold and you go into hypothermia.
I guess. But just because they didn't say they didn't dredge the water doesn't mean that they didn't. Just says that it wasn't in the source.
Okay. Well, anyways, if you have any information on Maura. I keep getting her name wrong. See, you had problems with Yvonne. I'm having trouble with Maura. But if you do have any information, please let somebody know. Or if you are said person, let somebody know. Bring some closure.
No, I have issues. I don't think adults... Because just tell the police that you're alive. They won't tell your family where you are. They'll just tell your family that you're alive.
Yeah. Just say, hey, I'm fine. Just tell them to stop looking for me. It's not a mystery anymore. Or now she's embarrassed. If she did just walk away, it could be that she's embarrassed that it's gone on for so long. But in all probability, she is not around.
It's super, I don't know. I think that the person in the A-frame house killed her. And maybe they didn't take her to kill her. Maybe something else happened. But it's just too suspicious for me.
I mean, it's possible, but that ship has sailed. So
maybe one day she'll be found.
Maybe. It'll be one of those rando things where somebody's walking and they're like, oh, I found some bones. Or clothing.
Or a living person.
Or what?
Or a living person.
Or a living person.
But that's all. You can join us next week for our special Christmas episode.
Jingle bell, jingle all the way.
Oh my gosh. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.